robot makers, hope you're having a good day so far. So, have you heard of Cyberbricks? And is this the Lego Mindstorms killer? Let's find out together. So if this sounds interesting, this is the show for you. Let's dive straight in. My name's Kevin. Come with me as we build robots, bring them to life with code, and have a whole load of fun along the way. Okay, let's get over quickly to a couple of slides, and then we will get straight into into a bit of a demo of this. Right, that's not slides. Let me make sure we're on the right page there. That's just me trying some code out. So, sorry about this. Is a bit of a bad start already. Let's get that over to current application. Should be that one. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, we're going to be building that little forklift truck in today's show. Oh my goodness, I'm all over the show with my presentation. Let me just get back up there. There we go. Right. And then let me get back down here to there. Right. Sorry about that. Start again. So, what are Cyberbricks? Cyberbricks are an electronics kit from MakerWorld, otherwise known as Bambu Labs. Bambu Labs have done some similar kinds of projects to this before, such as this little 3D printable mouse. They did brand this with Bambu Labs there as well. But yeah, the idea is you print out all the pieces of the mouse. He throws it around the room. I had another one there that I could take apart. So yes, you basically 3D print all the different pieces. There's about 3 different pieces to this, and then the electronics comes in a tiny little kit, and the kit was very inexpensive. This is the evolution of that whole project there. So Cyberbricks are a modular smart toy ecosystem. And it combines programmable hardware, 3D printable structures, and dual-level coding environments. Meaning you can either use the app on your phone, or you can just use MicroPython, which is why I'm very excited and interested in this. So it's where 3D printing collides with electronics and coding in a Lego-like simplicity. And I was thinking, is this the Lego Mindstorms killer? So Lego Mindstorms typically are very expensive. If you're a school or you're a parent or even an adult wanting to buy a Lego Mindstorms kit, these run into the hundreds of pounds. And as you'll see today, these kits, this is the ultimate hardware kit, the one I went for, that was about £50. So very, very affordable, and that builds about 4 different projects. Cyberbricks empower anyone to build and enjoy a wide range of 3D printable projects, from remote control toys to productivity toys. We're going to have a look at this, and this is probably going to be one of many shows I do on this going forward, because there's just so much in this. So again, what are these different elements? So we have modular hardware. There's these wireless controllers, microcontrollers, which are built on the ESP32. We'll have a look at those in great detail in a minute. Solderless modules, so there's no soldering required. Everything just pushes together with little connectors. 3D printing framework, so there's open source design and specs. So there is a reference design you can use for all their components, all open source, which is great. And then we have dual layer coding. So this is app-based configuration, where you simply use your phone to pair with the remote, for example. I built the remote yesterday just to have a play with this. So there's one of their little modules in there, which, as you can see, is a little ESP32 base board. And we'll have a look at how all this kind of connects together. But you can either use MicroPython coding or their app to configure the projects. And community blueprint. So this is very similar to, say, Thingiverse, which is... Oh, what's the name of the company that backs Thingiverse? They're a 3D printing company. There is Bambu Labs have MakerWorld, which is where this sits, and Prusa have printables. So a lot of these 3D printing companies typically have a platform where people can share their prints, because it sells printers ultimately. But this, I think, kind of goes way beyond that. So let's have a look at one of the first parts of Cyberbricks, which is the multifunction core board. So you could just see before, when I held this up, that multifunction core board is what's hiding under this little flap here. So that's the little module just there. You can see how small that is. So this is a ESP32 based processor. You can see that right on the screen there. This little module just here. Has Bluetooth connectivity, not Wi-Fi, just Bluetooth on this particular version. You can see the actual antenna is that little wiggly sneaky line there. and it runs MicroPython, which I think is absolutely amazing. These are built, it's not that it just is as an option runs MicroPython, it runs MicroPython. The app connects to it through Bluetooth. And look at the price. I think this is one of the best things that they've done with this. These are really affordable prices, and I'm not sponsored. This is not a sponsored show. It'd be great if Bambu Labs reached out and offered some sponsorship for the future shows, for future projects. But yes, this one is very, very affordable. So I'm very pleased with how this is kind of going as a project. So next up we have the shields. That was the core board. There's two shields that you can currently get. There's the remote control transmitter shield. So this one is the remote control transmitter shield, which is just hiding underneath. You can probably just about make out those little white connectors hiding underneath there. And this has 6 analog to digital converter inputs. It has 4 digital inputs, combines with the core module, has a battery connector, which is that thing on the right hand side there, and these only cost £5.89 in British pounds. So this one is the one that sends the signals to the receiver. Next up then, not a surprise, is the remote control receiver shield. This one has 2 DC motor ports, 4 servo ports, and 2 WS2812 RGB LED ports for adding a little LED things to your projects. And this one priced at £7.59, a little bit more expensive than the others, but there's a lot going on there. I think these motor shields tend to be, the chips on them are a bit more expensive anyway, so they're not making a great amount of money on these. Input modules. So we have a whole host of input modules. This remote control I think uses pretty much all of them. So on the back of this remote control we've got a little up and down switch. This is called a single axis joystick module. Has a little connector on the bottom there, priced at £2.59. Next we have the dual axis, so you can kind of go left and right, up and down. This remote control has 2 of these on there. £3.39 for them. It's pretty straightforward, very good quality they seem as well. The 3-position rocker switch, so this one has a rocker switch. Sort of show that on a bit better on the screen there, so you can have a middle position left and right. That one is £2.59, and then they have the power switch. So on the back there is actually a power switch on here as well. I think this one is slightly different, but this one kind of goes between batteries, like they have a LiPo battery module, and then whatever that connects to, which are typically the shields. £2.19 for those. Momentary switch. So this controller has a momentary switch on the back there. Oops, on the back there, which is one of those. They're £1.29. So again, these are very, very affordable components. They've all got these little mounting points on them as well. Output modules. So the first one is the WS2812 LED hub. So that one you can plug in 4 different LED lights, RGB LED lights, and you can have one controller for that. So it makes it very simple to bring lights to your project. The project we're building today has 2 lights, has 2 indicator lights on it. So they're £1.79 each. The actual LEDs themselves come in a pack of 2. These are £2.99 each. WS2812 RGB LEDs. These are very, very tiny. Then we have the micro motors. So we have 2 of these that we're going to be using on the project today. These come in a pack of 2 and £3.60. Motors do tend to be a bit more expensive. There's a lot more that goes into making these, all the winding of all the different elements of the motor, I think, make it a bit more complicated, but that's still very, very affordable, particularly for 2 of these. And then we have my favourite little motor, the N20 reduction gear motors. These are actually very, very affordable. To buy these normally is, I find, about £7, so to buy these for £5.99 is cheap anyway. And they come in a couple of different variants. You've got 150 RPM, 400 RPM and 1000 RPM variants. And again, they've got the little connector on the back. No soldering required, which is awesome. And then there is these 9-gram servo motors with clutch protection. And these ones are £4.39. They also have a continuous rotation version which we'll be using on the project today, the little forklift truck. So the continuous rotation version does more than 360 degrees, whereas the other ones are 180. Okay, and then the models themselves. I was going to paste a picture on here, but I thought, why don't I actually take you to the website and show you live what is available. So if I go to makerworld.com, and let me go full screen on this one. and you can have a look and see what kind of models that we actually have here. So this is the makerworld.com site. If you go to models, I'm on the Cyberbricks, if I could see the URL there. So Cyberbricks is the URL there. And you can see, yeah, we've got an R2-D2 droid there. There's these garbage truck ones. Let's have a look what else there is. There's a whole bunch of them. So you can see there's the remote control that I've just printed out yesterday and got up and running. That's a nice. It's not. I've got a bit of a shinier version of the yellow there. Very interested in this little robot arm. So there's a robotic desktop arm thing there. A little chimney truck, or the official forklift truck. That's what we're going to be building in today's show. And then there's a 4x4 Jeep. There's another little Jeep there. A little train model that's very cute. And so on. There's just so many. Mini robot arm there as well. A little Wally droid. Look at that claw machine. Awesome. So I'm really excited about these. These are the kind of projects I would build anyway. And the fact that we have a microcontroller running MicroPython in these means that we can potentially do so much more with these. So this is why I'm very, very excited about that. Look at that. There's even a little BB-8. That's the next thing I'm going to be building as well. The official Cyberbrick truck. So we look at that one. I'll show you how these kind of work. So you'll have the different downloadable elements. So you can either get the truck. These are all kind of designed for the Bambu printers, but you can actually download, if you're logged in, the STL files. So I'm printing mine out on a Prusa. So yes, you've got those, and then it will tell you what kind of colours you need. So PLA matte, PLA basic, PLA black, and then some transparent PETG. And then they give you the kind of instructions. There's usually a video with these. And then there's also some PDFs to download. So I've got the PDF downloaded for the forklift truck. We're going to be doing that very, very shortly. So yeah, definitely check them out if you've not seen these already. I'm very excited about these. If you like this kind of video, you want me to make more videos about Cyberbricks, definitely let me know in the comments. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. It costs you absolutely nothing. It'd be a really nice Christmas present for me to see loads more subscribers. So if you're not subscribed already, definitely subscribe to the channel. And if you like this video, definitely give this one a like too. I do go live every single Sunday at 7 o'clock GMT. So if you want to come and join the chat and the show, then you can hop on over and join in as well. Cool. Let's get over to building this actual demo then, shall we? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flick between the kind of instruction page, which I've got over here, and actually building the thing. So the first thing it tells us about is what kind of tools we need. Now they do provide all the tools that you need with the kits. There's like a little screwdriver and a little dowel type rod. I think it's actually a hex screwdriver. I have got some wire cutters as well. These are the kind of wire cutters that you get with your 3D printer. So I've got some little snippers there, and I have got some super glue. Now I did do some super gluing of this before the show, just because I didn't want to be getting my fingers stuck to everything, but I think there is another bit that I need to do. I've got some tweezers, and I think I've got everything else I need for this as well. Great, so the first thing is the gearbox. So it says we need 2 of these. I've got these on the overhead here, so I've got 2 of these, and I think there is like a cover as well, which is those 2 pieces. And I've got this box just off camera here, which is all the bits and pieces that are provided by the kit that you buy on here. So what I will need to find in there is the various different bits and pieces. I think there's some motors we will need, so I'll put them out there. And I think there was also some, is that the continuous one? That's one of the continuous rotation ones. Got some LEDs. And somewhere there is, there we go. I think we need that, which is that little gear. We need another one of those as well, which is that one there. So I think that's everything that we need for this particular step. So let's jump back to here. So yes, it says on there you need the single axis rotational gear thingy. So I've got that little bag there. That's the one from the kit. They also provide a little tube of like gear lubricant. Grab that out of here. So yeah, there's a little tube as well, just to put on the gears so that they don't wear too quickly. Cool. So I've got all that right. So it says during this this activity serves as an assembly aid. You'll need it again. So what is that? Oh, it's just a little steel rod. Right, that's fine. Right. Okay. So the first thing is we need to take apart the bag, and we need to put in. Let's get over to the overhead camera here. Right. I've also got another camera, so occasionally I will flick to this view here, just so you can see a bit closer up, but I'm going to go for the overhead camera like that for probably most of this. And I'll be looking to see if anybody's alerting me to anything, if anything goes wrong, or they can spot something that I can't see. So I think I need that, and I need that little steel rod as well. So I think it says to put the little steel rod into there, and then get one of these. Now the filament I did use for this, it was kind of a sparkly kind of black, and yeah, it's a little bit stringy. I don't know if you can see that on there. There's a little bit of stringing on some of these. It's not too bad printed, but yeah, I think the filament was probably a little bit too hot. Right, so it says to put this into the middle of there. And I think that does. Does it push all the way through, or does it stop there? So it's check the rear, see if that is fully inserted. It is fully inserted. So that's good. Oops. So next is to take that piece off. If I go for this kind of view, that might work. You're going to see the side of my head for most of this. So I've got the little steel thing in there, and then taking that off, and then do the same with the second one. So there's 2 pins in here. Let's get the second pin. And that's going to push into there like so. And then it says we need the next gears. We've got 3 or 4 of the gears out. There's quite a few gears. 5 gears, a tiny little one, and then various different sizes. So I'll just scroll this down a little bit. So I need that one with the inner piece and that one that we've been using. Alright, so if you push those together, it kind of clicks in place. That's nice. And we also need the motor, so let me just get the motor out. I've got this little tray as well. I thought this might be quite useful if I need to put some pieces that I'm working on in like a little container, so we can do that. And let's get the motors as well. There's this little bag of magnets. It seems to stick to everything. Right, so let's grab the motors. So these are the little DC motors. They're not the N20 ones. These are just regular little motors with a little connector on the end there. Tiny little things. Okay, so it says to put that tiny little one on the end of the motor. So let me know if that's zoomed in enough. We can zoom in a little bit more if that would help. I just need to make sure I put my hands right underneath the camera. That is really fiddly to get on there. I've got a feeling this is going to shoot off if I'm not careful. Right, I'm just going to put it on there and push down. I want to do this without crushing my 3D printed parts. Right, let's try that. There we go. Yeah, that really is on there. Okay. So you can see there we've got the little gear on the motor. So next up it says we need to cut that little lubricant thing. This is going to get really sticky, this, isn't it? So unscrew that, and then on the very tip there, just need to snip that. And then I think I need to apply in the very specific area. So scroll that up a bit. I'll just make this so that it's on continuous scrolling, so you can do that. Enable scrolling, there we go. So what it's saying is, this thing that we've just created, nope, which one is it? Which one is it? So the order is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've used that tiny little one. So then there's should be 4 others. Where's the other piece gone? Is it still in the bag? Yes, it is. I'll tip that bag into there. There we go. Right, so there's a tiny little one. That one goes on the very first one, like so. And then they're saying that we should add some of the lubricant around that little gear there. So I'm just going to squeeze this. Give that an extra snip. I don't think that's quite. Yep, there we go. There we go. So that's the first one. The second one is that larger flat one. No, so that's number 3, isn't it? Number 2 is the motor itself. So the motor is going to go in like so. And there is like a little piece just there. Is that slots into that little motor there? You can see there's a little slot just there, and there's a little piece that sticks out, so I'm guessing that kind of locks that into position there. Yes, it sort of had a satisfying click there. Right, so that's number 2. Then number 3 is this larger one. That's going to go this way up. And then number 4 is the one like so. And then number 5 goes on top of there. Let's see if that looks right. And so what it's saying next is to put a bit of that lubricant onto the motor gear. See if I can rotate this around a bit. And then so basically just put it on each of the gears as you put them in there. Okay. So then next up we need to put the top of the motors on there. So that's this this piece. That's going to go on top of there. Now, when I 3D printed this, I think there's a few pieces that do need to be pushed through. So what I'm going to do, I use that pokey stick that comes with the kit to push out those little pieces. You see this little piece just there that needed removing. Right, try that again. Make sure that piece there isn't getting in the way. There's a bit of support material. There we go, that's clicked into place. Satisfying click on all these. These parts are very, very thin, but they do seem to fit together very, very nicely. So that isn't screwed in yet, but that seems, you know, pretty pretty locked in there. You can see there's another little homing piece just on the back there for the motor as well. So I need to do 2 of those. Let's see if we can do the next one a little bit quicker. I'm just going to check for any stringiness or support materials on these that need sorting out. So that's that piece. This one did seem to have quite a bit of stringiness to it. Okay, so we've got the motor. There's another bag. Tip that into there. Okay, and then we need that tiny little piece which is going on the top of the motor. Let's try that again. There we go. And so again, I just need to poke out those 2 little pieces. This was obviously printed. This was the bed that it printed on, and there's 2 little holes there. I just need to poke through with that. Okay, let me just get to the first page to make sure we're all good. So we need to do the little pin thing first. Now, is that the right back? That looks... I think maybe I've got the wrong one there. Those pins look different. I think this was a differential gear. Let's see if there's another gear. Yep. So I think on that one there's a differential gear, and there is also single axis gear. I needed this one. I'm going to put those pieces back. I think it'll be fine because the motor, that little piece that I put on the motor is the same. I'll just have to put the one that's in this bag into here. So everything that's needed on that one is kept together. Not sure how many screws with that one. I'm sure I'll find that one out. I'm going to keep all this together so when I do this in future, if I've messed things up a bit, it's all in the same place. Right, okay, so that's better. So these 2 pins, these get plopped in place with that, and then same with that, and then what the order was, let's go back to here. So let's grab that. So this little gear has like a little springiness to it, and it clicks into place in there. I think that's like a clutch of some kind, maybe. Okay, so that one we've just made, that goes to the front position, like so. Is that right? No. It's that one goes to the front. That one, we put some of that on there. Sure, if there's any model makers looking at this, they'll be horrified of what I'm doing. There you go, that's the second piece in place. The third one is that larger one. Goes on top of there. Then we have the third one, fourth one, which is that one. That goes on top of there, and then the fifth one is that one. Goes on there, right, and then we should not miss any steps out. I do have to put some of that lubricant on each of them. push this in place. There we go. Like so. Click. Right, so we have 2 motors ready to go. 1 and 2. So we've done that. And then some screws. Right, so I've got a bag of screws. This was in a much smaller bag, and I just put this in this larger one just because it was easy. They're actually all the same size, which makes building things a lot easier. It's one of the nicely engineered things of this. So I'm going to put these in here. And that little pokey stick is actually a hexagonal hex nut screwdriver. So if I put that in there, we can screw these little things into place. Got to be careful not to over tighten 3D printed things, because you end up just threading the plastic. You only get to do that one time. But there's quite a satisfying, you can feel when the screws reach the end, it stops. So that's nicely done. Let's do the second one. Go. So if you ever look through online and tell me which one of the projects would you want to build next. So I thought about the forklift and the little Cybertruck. Cybertruck, the little truck that you can put things on the back of. It's not like an Elon Musk Cybertruck. Right, okay, so we need that piece, we need that piece. We need 2 wheels. So these red pieces are printed in flex print TPU. They're not amazingly greatly printed. I think it's quite a cheap TPU, so some of it does need a bit of cleanup work. But I think it's probably good enough for what we're doing. It was very stringy. I think that tells me that the printing was like too hot. But yeah. They will fit around the wheels. I've had a quick test fit, and they do fit very nicely into place. So I think it should be okay, is what I'm saying. Right, so I think we've got all the pieces we need there. There's this little piece here, which I think is for the headlights, little indicator lights. And they have got this little piece over here. I didn't print that piece out, but I have got the yellow chassis pieces. And it says we need 10 nuts, we need some electronics pieces. Let's get those out. So this is the receiver module. We can tell it's the receiver module because it has the header pins for the servos on it. On the flip side you can see the little ESP32 just inside. It's on like a little shield mount as well, so that does actually come out if you need to sort of pull it out. Goodness sake. And then I need to make sure I put it back the correct way round, which I think is that way. Does that look correct? Nope, I think that's the other way round. There's a little antenna, and there's a little antenna on there, so I think both of those point that way. I've got a spare one of these if all goes wrong. So we have that piece, and we need a couple of screws. We need the LED lights, so let's find those. And we also need that rocker switch, so let's find LED lights. Literally the last thing I pick up. There they are. Right, so I think we've got everything we need there. So we've got a little module. We need one of these. So I've got a message there from Jeff. He says TPU needs to be dried before you print with it, or else it'll be stringy like you're seeing. I've used this filament several times on YouTube. Thank you for that tip. Yeah, I do keep them in the boxes and in the bags, but I don't have a dryer yet, so that's probably something I'll need to invest in so that it doesn't get stringy. So I'm going to be using one of these little rocker switches, and that simply connects between the module and the battery. So I don't know if we do that now, but I'm just going to plug it in anyway. So they've clearly engineered everything so that all the leads are kind of a standard size. They only come with that one that looks like about a 10 centimeter piece of wire, but that means we can now turn this on and off from the power source, which I assume is going to be one of these little LiPo batteries that come with the kit. There's a lot of plastic. Being a European, I'm not so keen on plastic overkill. If we can have less plastics, that would be a good thing. Like these little plastic bags, there is so many of these plastic bags that you end up with at the end of the project. I'm sure we could be a better way of building this without them. So here we go. If I plug that in to here, and then I switch the module on. There we go, got a little green light. That means I've got the module the correct way round, thank goodness. So that's going to just sit over there. So next step is to put these little motors. Interesting, they look a bit like those TT motors, you know, the type you've probably seen on many other projects. So what do I need to do? I need to face that towards the back. So there's the back. The little white thing is sticking out there. And does it just slide into place? So there's all kinds of little mounting points and connectory things in here to make sure that it does go flush into the correct place, and I think these just sort of point outwards. So it's just to push that into place. Try it that way around. A little bit of a tight fit that. Need to make sure it's not some kind of a don't want to force this too much, but it's not quite going in there. Yeah, I think some support material might still be on some of these, which is why it's becoming quite a tight fit. Bit of resistance on that side there. Let's just have a look at that, a bit more detail. So yeah, this video is either going to be epic or an epic fail. I'm hoping not the latter. But that really doesn't want to go in there. What's going on? I think it's going in at a slight angle. Sorry if this is slightly off camera when I'm doing this. I'm just trying to understand why that's not going in. So 4 says, time to place your bets on whether magic smoke will come up or not. There we go. We're in. Phew. Yes, I've not got back in touch with PyHut yet about that that little Arduino motor carrier board that went up in smoke last week. need to get in touch with them about that, because that was not a cheap thing to buy. And I would like to do some projects with that as well. Right, okay, so we've got them in there. Next up is this nice yellow piece. It's very intricate, lots of interesting things designed on here. So that one looks to just sit there, and there's some screw holes that line up as well. So that's going to be in place nicely like so. And indeed, the next thing I need to do is screw in a whole screw. And I think it's that hole just there. So whatever dimensions they've come up with for these screw holes, they're a really good tolerance. It's very well designed in that way. So it feels like a really tight and snug fit, but it does feel like it should be where it is. Right, that looks good, looks nice and neat, looks like the picture. So when installing the front, so that's not great there, is it, the front? What does that say? The text is cut off a little bit. Front whatever. Make sure that you insert the screw from the sides with the smut. So I think they need to improve the whoever writes the text on these needs to do a bit of a better job at just making sure that you can actually read what that says. Anyway, so we need some wheels. Let's grab the wheels. So this was interesting. I looked on the website about this. It says there's a PLA version of this. How on earth could you have a PLA track? Because if it's that shape, it'll be solid that shape. It has to be, you know, a malleable material. So I'm not sure how that works. So these wheels have, there's two different types of wheels. There's one with kind of this, what do you call that, like a long lozenge type hole in it. And that's the exact same shape as these white ones. So they will fit onto there. Probably quite a tight fit. No, it's quite a nice fit. So similarly on that other side. That is a very nice fit. And then these ones I think simply screw into place. Is that? But I can see that there's some 3D printed material that we need to remove on here. So that piece there, I think, if I push that out with my pokey stick, yeah, it's just a piece of support material. So I'll do the same on that one. There we go. So these ones are going to go, that kind of cone, inner cone shape is going to go into that cone shape there. And then the screw, I guess, is going to screw onto the top. And we can't screw too tightly, because if we do it too tightly, the wheel won't turn. So it says after tightening the screw, loosen by 1/2 turn to ensure that the front wheel can rotate smoothly. You can probably do that as we're building this. That feels quite good. Do the same on this one. So yeah, I was very interested that they decided to use MicroPython after the show we did last week about why more and more companies are moving to MicroPython. So I'm actually writing a book about MicroPython as we speak. I've outlined quite a lot of the book already. I've made a start on a couple of the chapters. So I'm sure in the new year that'll be ready to be published. I have a publisher already for that lined up. Mr. Monk Simon Monk has very kindly said he will help me with that. He's also going to be the person reviewing the book. Right, let's try putting these on. That's not bad. Yeah, they do look a bit manky, these tracks. I might dry out my TPU and try that again. But they're working, they're serviceable. That's going to work okay. And similarly on that one as well. They've got a nice grip to them. Because it's TPU, it's going to be like a nice rubber-like grip onto the There's kind of a signed copy, of course. Right, let's see what else is next. Right, okay, so we need to get our little board, and we need to add our LED lights to it. So I've got this double pack here of LED lights. I'm just going to put that lid on that stuff because it's going to go everywhere. These remind me of the Pimroni Tiny Effects lights. They have a similar kind of board. I guess when you're working with these connectors, there's only so many designs you can make of that. So this has got a 3-pin connector, and that's going to go. There's like a flat side. The flat side. Let me show this bit like that. That flat side goes to there, and then on here there is an orientation that this needs to be. So it says with the battery side up. Let's get that into view there. The LED needs to go to the left hand side, like so. Like that. And that means we've then got 4 LED that we can connect up to that little board there. So let's put this into place. So there is a nice little mounty hole thing there and there. So this is going to go with the battery side facing up. It's going to go like so. And the LED board is going to go with this little slot for that to sit into there. Like that, but I think it sit in place nicely when there's a screw in there. So I guess the next instruction is 3 screws. Let's have a look. Oh, it's been about the motors. Plug the motors in next. So let's do that. And I think they cross over, so the left goes to the right and the right goes to the left side. They basically are the side underneath. Again, there's a little flat side. The flat side goes to the top. So I'll show you a bit closer to the camera. You can see there's like a flat side on the top, and then there's like a side with like slots, so the flat side goes to the top. You don't want to force these in if they don't go in, because you'll just end up bending the pins forever. Right, so that goes back down there, and then I guess these wires go in between, like so. And what I might do is take that cable out because it's kind of getting in the way for now, like so. Right, and then this piece needs to come and sit in that little slot just there without that motor wire being in the way. So the thing with these small models, they are a bit fiddly. Right. Please tell me there's some screws. Yes, there is. Thank goodness for that. Right, 3 screws. Again, I do like the fact that everything uses the same type of screw. That just makes this project a lot easier to assemble. And probably all the projects. Probably easier to design as well if you've got one type of screw. There we go. Wasn't quite biting on the plastic, but there it is now. Got a long way to go in this screw, so it's taken a while before it gets tight. There we go. And then same again with these other 2. Let's get those out. I wonder why they decided on the hex nut and not like a Phillips screw or a flat bladed screw as a design choice. There we go. And then the final screw on that module goes in there. Okay. So what does it say about the wiring of this? So everything just needs to go nicely down the side. There's like a little slot at the side of that screw there. This is where it says you need your tweezers. I've just got these long nose pliers for doing such things. There we go. If that can sit in there, that can sit down there, I think that'll be okay. There's wanting to jump out a little bit, that's fine for now. So next up is let's just remove that for now. The rocker switch. So the rocker switch is going to go with the little tab side underneath. That's what it's saying there. So let's get a screw in that, I guess. They could probably use half the instructions on here. They've got like what you need to do before and then what it looks like after you've done that. They could probably just skip that. Think about like the master of instructions Lego. They don't show you like an after one. They just have a continual build-up of things. There we go, felt that move into place then. So there we go. Oh, there's something very wobbly. That's how it's going to be. Okay, so next up, some screws, one in there, one in there, and then one in there, one in there. I did find this an interesting choice before. When I first built the this remote control, there's a little screw that you put there, and I thought, why are we putting a screw in there? It's not actually fastening anything together, but there's a little magnet there that holds that in place. So this is what these pieces are for. They're magnetically connecting things together. So although it looks like you're screwing a screw in for nothing, you're just creating a metal point for the magnet to connect to. Okay. I didn't actually look how long it says it will take to construct this, but we're probably about halfway through now. Now this is going to be a bit fiddly because it's side on, is that right? No, we do it that way around. That's okay. I was worried that we'd have to screw into there, but no, it's just this way. The mechanism on the forklift looks quite interesting, the actual lift mechanism, so looking forward to doing that bit in a second. And then I'm hoping it all connects up and works fine. I have test run the connectivity before the show just to make sure that bit works, and I have had a quick browse of the MicroPython code as well, so we'll do that once we've built it. Okay. So this is a fiddly bit with lights. So this is the lighting, the headlights thing, and where's our LED lights gone? So we just need 2 of those. The wires on these are just so thin. Right, so it says you need tweezers on here. Now I'm not sure whether there's some support materials that need to come off there or whether that's fine as it is. I think it's fine. Right, okay, so what it says I need to do is to put that through there and pull this through. How on earth? So how do you keep that pointing upright? So the wires are on the back, but they are on the back to the side, so it will want to keep twisting. I guess as long as it's in there, it's fine. Right, let's push that one through there as well. There's just a little bit of stringing in there that was preventing that from just easily falling through. There we go. I'm just going to let that one. You see the difference there? One is kind of pointing face up, and one of them is slightly pointing to the back. So I'm just going to gently bend that so that it's at least got a chance of shining forward. But I'm not going to get too het up about that. And then it says you need to put the wires into that little slot, and then they need to just pop out of the back just there. So let's just gently push that in. Do that with my thumbnails. There we go. That's one. This is probably the fiddliest bit. The fiddliest bit so far. I'm not sure if there's any more fiddlier bits than this. Okay, so that's now done. So what do we do with this piece? So I've not printed out those pieces. You'll have to forgive me that one. And then what we need next is that piece just there. So, oops. So these go through that tiny little hole there. Good grief. Let's see if we can do that. So this needs to be facing backwards. Again, a bit of stringing on there that's just preventing that from easily falling through. That's one. Two. Now, does that need to be pointing in a particular direction? Suggests that they needs to be pointing down like that. Is that right? That looks like the picture. And then we need to get the order of these correct as we put this onto the chassis. So the chassis is facing that way round. This is facing up. So the left one goes to number 2. These are really fiddly as well, the little connectors on them. So that needs to go into number 2. Let me just have a look at these a bit closer so I understand. So that's... Right, so the pins are actually towards the back. You can see that of the connector. And these, they have the tiniest little connectors on them. God, you can see there, the little connector. So the actual metal parts are on the very back, just there. Right, so we need this one going to number 2. Remember before saying that was probably the fiddliest thing I needed to do? I think this is the fiddliest thing I need to do. There we go, that's in. And then the next one goes to number 1. Okay. I need to rejig this a bit once I've finished that. Okay, they are in place. And where is this going then? So this is going... Oh, so the next thing is that cable from here. This needs to find its way through here. Which side is that on? Let's have a look. So they've got that on the opposite side, of course. It's quite a thick cable this, so it's wanting to force its way a bit, and then that's going to go past there. It's going to swing round and fit into there like so. So where do these lights go though? That's what I want to know. It looks like they fit into here. There we go. That seems to slot it down nicely, and it's now in place. Okay, and then what's this next piece? I was just saying how to slot that in place there. We've done that. Right, next piece is the forklift assembly. Getting exciting. That feels like it needs gluing in place to me, that, but we'll see what happens next with that. So we've got these forklift pieces. So that two of those, and then these round pieces, and that piece and that piece. Okay, and then we need, which servo? I've got 3 servos, I think. So continuous rotation, so that one is both with clutch protection. Does it say which one that is? Yeah, so this one is a 360 PG002. Just need one of them. That's fine. And then we need this servo header pack as well. Oh, so the servo packs are actually with them. Looking for those little pieces there. Right, okay, let's get those out. So Pietro's asking, how long did it take to 3D print all those parts out for this project? It did take quite a while. I'll load up the Prusa slicer because I've actually got the project saved, and I can show you exactly how long it took to print each piece, because it does actually say in the project. So if I just bring this down here and I open up the forklift one, so that first one, let's actually go over slice now. So there's about 4 or 5 different. I had to reprint that little piece again because the first one messed up, and it's also complaining there about something not being quite right. I think it just all needs moving over a little bit. Oops. Can I grab all of that and move it? Yes, I can. No, it's still not happy with that. Oh no, it's saying print stability. We just need a bit of support material on there. Let's do that again. it's printing slightly outside of the area there. That's what's complaining about. So let's just move that in again. Slice now. What can I do to make that work? Move it over a bit again. Slice now. It's still not happy with that. It's the absolute, like, this is why it's on so many, because it's on the absolute boundary of what's possible to be printed. If I just grab that piece, move that over a little bit, maybe move that one in there. Is it going to be happy with that? I think it's that little edge just there that it's not happy with. This edge just here. Just trying to answer the question, Pietro. So I think it's probably about 5 or 6. There we go. So 6 hours for that first one. The second one is probably about that same again. So 6 hours. Plus. You're probably looking at about 12 hours for the whole thing, is what I'm guessing. Why is it not happy with that one? There you go. So that one is 4 hours. So 6 plus 4. Then you've got these chunkier pieces. They're in a different colour. So, and they're a bit taller. But that one's 2.5 hours. And then there's the TPU pieces. They were quite quick actually. So they're about an hour and 3/4. So whatever all those things are, it is quite a number of hours printed. And I just had to reprint that little piece again, but that was only like 7 minutes. Okay, let's get back to the PDF and over to there. So I also need that string as well. Let me just grab that string piece. Where's that gone? Okay. Right, this is the exciting part. We need 7 screws. So the first thing we need to do is get this piece face that way up, and we need to put, which one of the two is it? That one with the, it's got little lugs on it. You can see those little lugs, and this has got little holes in it. And this is just going to push into place. Just going to push into place. Is there an orientation of that? I'm going to do this slightly off camera so I can get them in. The tolerances on this are very, very tight, so this isn't going in nicely. It does say that it should click when the part goes in place. That's just not for going in though. That side's gone in. That side really doesn't want to go in. So I just have to get the so I have that little files at the back of my studio there. So what I might do is just push that bit back out, if it'll let me, without breaking the whole thing, and then I might be able to just file them down ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. See if that's any better. Might file with a slight angle to get a bit of an edge, bit of a fillet type thing, flange, is that the right word on them? Right, let's see if that's any better. The others want to go in just fine, it's just these last ones. Right, that looks okay on that side, but that bit there doesn't quite. Okay, so what I might do is force that in. Going to do this slightly off camera for a second while we try and get that into there. It really isn't wanting to go in that hole there. So I've got these mole grips. These seem to work okay for this kind of problem. Let's see if we can do this without crushing it completely. So if I twist this to get it just about the right height, so it's not putting too much pressure on it, but it's enough that it goes in where it needs to go. I just need it to do it without the mechanism crushing the other piece. How do I get into there without that destroying the other piece? There you go. I think that's going to be good enough. We'll see when we push the servo motor through. Okay, so next up we need the other piece, and we need that servo. Use that one there. So we've got that piece, we've got the servo piece, and we need to put that way up. Servo cable needs to go through there, and then that needs to go like so, I'm guessing. Yep, all the way down, like so. And then we need to get 2 screws. Oh no, we need the servo screws, not the other ones. And which way we're screwing it, that way. And from the back into here, and we want that piece pointing that way. Okay, let's see if that's going to be okay there. Not sure why that's just decided to pop up. Let me just quit that. So Chrome just decided to pop up then. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, that seems to be in place. Okay. So Pietro says, really impressed with the instructions that have been provided. Yeah, they are pretty good. They are pretty well thought through, and it's very well engineered, other than that one little piece that wouldn't quite fit. This is an example of a really impressive engineering. So they've got these rounded slots in here, and this has got some rounded edges, only ever so slightly, if you can see there. And this is going to slot very nicely into here. So it moves quite freely up to that point there. So I'm not sure why Chrome keeps deciding to pop up there. Stop doing that. There we go. So yeah, we'll probably need to put some of that. Either we just need to move this a few times to get this to. Oh goodness sake, that's come out there. Just need to move this up and down a few times just to make it so that it can freely move, because it's getting really tight at the end there. And we don't want it to be too tight. Just that last little bit there where it gets really taut. Okay, so we've got that bit there. Oops. Let's scroll down. So now there. We need to do a bit of surgery on one of these pieces. So what it's saying here, let's just move this down, is we need to get this piece here, and this needs to fit into it. So we need to chop these pieces off the very end. So it's saying where we've got that last dot, we need to give that a snip. Sure what's going on there. I'm just going to turn my Wi-Fi off. Let's do that. That should stop that from messing up the screen. I don't know if you can see that, but it keeps my Chrome keeps loading up, which is annoying. Right, so the next one, same again, like that, and then that should now. I don't know where that piece went that just flicked off the end. It's somewhere in the studio now. And that should, in theory, push into place and then stay there. There we go. Yep. That's nicely into place. See, it's flush there, and interesting design. And it says we now need the tiny screw, so the screw that screws into the very top of the servo. So you typically get the pieces that screw like into these pieces, which are quite long, and then you get these very small ones, and that's the one that goes on to the very end of the servo. So this is going to go into the servo and also mesh with those teeth. So let's plop that onto there. Just going to rotate that around a little bit, and now I'm going to screw that into place. There we go. So now, when that servo rotates round, it's going to separate these two pieces like so. Still quite a tight fit that. I'm going to leave it towards the top so that it can at least have a chance of working. Okay, so next up we need the other little one, and that's going to go on here, that way round. Is that right? No, that way round. Do they need to mesh? Is that? Okay. Grab another screw from over here. Let's screw that in place. That doesn't feel right. What's going on there? Alright, I can see what's going on there. We've got another piece we need to poke our pokey stick through. Again, these were printed on the bed, and there's a little piece of support material in there that needs popping out. There we go. That makes more sense. And there we go. It fits into place nicely now. I was wondering why that was struggling. So that's gonna turn nicely. In theory. Yeah, there we go. See, as that turns, they both turn together. Very nice. I don't think that second one was really necessary, but you know, it's there, so. Still very tight, that very last bit. Not sure how that's going to work in operation. Carry on though. Let's see what's next. So, after tightening the screw indicated by the orange line, loosen it by 1/2 turn. Right, so these are for this line that we're gonna wrap around it, because we're gonna have another piece, another servo that winds it up and winds it down by string. We'll see how that works out. So we need some screws. Need 6 screws. So the first screws are going to go in here. Let's do that. So I think these are to hold the wire in place, these ones. So I'm going to screw these a little bit, so there's a bit of a gap. See there? Put my fingernail underneath it, and then we'll tighten it up once the cable goes around it. I think that's how it works. And then similar, these top pieces, this is where the cable is going to wrap around. So they just need to go in there. In there. So one of the first projects I printed for the SMARS robot was a forklift truck. I think I've got it over there actually. That one just uses a single. We'll compare the two if I remember and we have time. Okay, and then there's another screw on here. So these ones, say the blue ones, screw them all the way and then loosen them by 2 full turns. Okay. One, 2. The screws actually feel hot from all the friction. Dale says, so far, I think SMARS is way better. Let's see when we finish this how good this is. I was thinking about building a SMARS version of this. They do have this N20 version of the motors, and I thought that might be quite interesting. Right, so it says the line card, using the line card as a reference guide, cut the rope. We need 2 30cm long pieces. I just happen to have a 30cm ruler, so we can do this a bit more accurately than just using that as a guide. I have some scissors and I'm not afraid to use them. Okay, so where's the end of that? Trying to get the end of the cable out of here. Right, so we need two 30cm pieces. I could do 3 hands here, I think. One piece, and we just need the second piece. Use the first one as a guide. They give you plenty of spare, so if you get it wrong it's not too bad. Okay, what's next? Tie a knot in the end. Okay, so there's just a little knot that I need to tie in the end of there. Do you remember the first time you tied a knot? I can. I know exactly where I was, and it was in primary school. It was I had to tie my own shoelaces, and I remember being really annoyed that this school person was telling me that I had to learn to tie my own shoelaces because somebody else had always done that for me. But I remember exactly where I was when I learned that lesson. Can you remember how old you were when you had your very first memory? I can remember my first memory was being in a Butlins holiday camp, Filey, and I remember running down the concrete path. The path had a really nice sort of curvature to it, and as I ran I could hear that kind of echo effect of my feet hitting the concrete. Right, okay, so the next thing is that, and I think I was 3 or 4. Right, so that piece there, so this is at the top, so this is a bit fiddly. Paul says I couldn't tie my own shoe until I was 12. That's funny. So we need to wrap this round here. It would have made sense to have the another threading eye of needle things on here, so let's just grab that through there. Okay, and what does that knot need to do? Is it supposed to stop? That's not going to do anything, that knot. So that's going to go through there, and then does it need to wind its way on that one? It needs to wind its way around there, and then like so. So that's the elaborate thing we're going for. So loop the nylon around the screw indicated by the orange, and then tighten the rope properly, and then tighten the screw to clamp it in place. Right, so tighten this one, tighten the orange one in place. Yeah, that's pretty tight. I mean, this is how 3D printers work, I guess, isn't it? They use not string, but bands. So that's going to loop around there, and then that's going to loop around there. Doesn't say. Oh, is this supposed to be as it's completely stopped, like so? Right, okay, so loop that round. Ugh. Am I doing something wrong with these top ones? Ah, right. I think I've done that wrong. Let me just unscrew that. I was basically screwing it through that. I can see what I was doing wrong there now. I was putting the string through this little slot here, and I think I'm supposed to wrap it around the end of the screw. Let's try that again on this one. Just untighten that. Try that again. So that wraps around there. Let's tighten that up. Like that. It then loops around there and then back around. It's a bit fiddly because like your rope's going underneath there. There we go. And then tying that up in place. Making sure that's not in the way. Right. So now if I pull that, that's looking really slack. I don't really understand how that's supposed to work. Okay, let's carry on. Sure, it'll become apparent. I think once I've got it attached to the very bottom piece, I'll understand how this is supposed to work, but at the moment I don't really get this. So that wraps around there, underneath, around that little peg there. Okay, that's tight. Yeah, still don't get that. Right, okay. What next? So does three needs to be loose, and orange, the 4 needs to be tight. Okay. What? In step 2, the nylon cord is difficult to thread through. You can tighten to slightly melt the end of the cord. So they have got that going through that little slot thing, which is what I originally thought. Oh, right. I see. There's a little slot there that I've not spotted. Okay, let's undo that bit there. So if you're watching this and you're like, that's so obvious, why did you not do that? Because I didn't see it. Right. That goes in there. And then it comes round. So that cable is going to go through there, that knot. That's all that's the only thing that's creating tension there, is it? Okay. This is fiddly. So if I tighten that up now, maybe we need a bigger knot on that side. That doesn't seem to be big enough. Do a double knot. Right, start there. That makes more sense if we start there. And then we're going to go through easier to pull this out. Right, so that goes round there, and then this kind of comes underneath. Wrapping around that piece there, and then we tighten that up. Right, okay, let's move that and see. Yeah, that's working better. I get that now. Right, okay, let's do the other side. Do that a bit quicker now we know what we're doing. Tighten that piece there. I get those two knots to coalesce into one big knot. Start there. Tip that out. That's going to go into there. Yes, I did just grab that screw. Let me just grab another one. That goes through there. Comes round the top, round the bottom of there, back underneath. There we go. Tighten that up. Yep. That's working. Okay. Phew. Right. Yes. If it's appropriate, Ford, tell us about one of your earliest memories. Remember, this is a family show, so please keep it clean. Okay, let me just zoom out of here. How do I do that? Zoom out. Actual size, there we go. Okay. Right, forklift pieces now. Good, getting somewhere now. So these have got like little hooks on them. See the little hook pieces there, and this has got a little slot. That's saying face up. I'm guessing, let's not guess, let's be accurate. Make sure you do not install it backwards. So that seems good. It says you will hear a click. I'm not sure I heard a click. Ah, these were actually upside down. There we go. Let's put them through, and then there's definitely a click then. So that looks correct. And then this is going to go onto, so that's facing down. Make sure my cables are all out of the way. Okay. Yep, I heard a click. So push down the fork. All the way to the bottom. Okay, like that, flush, and then clip the nylon cord into the slot, ensuring the cord is taut. Apply a small amount of instant adhesive to the slot to secure the cord, taking care not to get glue on other areas. Right, who wants to place bets that I'm going to get glue into other areas? Right, okay, so that... Is it these pieces? What piece is it? Alright, so it's the piece that's coming from there. Oh man alive, this is fiddly. Right, so I think it's that piece there. Right, so the piece of string that is on the bottom, so this one here, needs to go into that little slot there. I need to absolutely make sure it's the correct one, because if I get the wrong one, then it won't work. So let's do it from the top down. Do you remember before when I said that the first thing wasn't the fiddliest thing, and then the second one I thought was the fiddliest thing? This is probably the fiddliest thing. There we go, that's in place now. Right. But they seem to cross over there in an unsightly way. Is that really correct? That's the way they've designed it. Theirs doesn't seem to have that kind of cross that mine's got. So this piece here, coming down there, and then it comes underneath. I can't see how that could be any other way, really. I'm going to go with that. If it's wrong, I can always redo it. There's enough cord. It does say to cut any excess cord, but let's glue that piece in place first. So, where's it gone? It's just that little... Okay, let's try the other side. It's always quicker the second time, isn't it? Right, so... that bottom piece there. So I'm trying to do the work. I'm trying to make sure that it's on camera, that you can see it. And I'm also trying to make sure it's correct. Respect for anybody that does crocheting, because this is like really fiddly. Come on, get in there. There we go. Oh, my finger was nearly sticking to the other one. Nearly. Right, let's glue that in place. Okay. Right. What's next? Assembly. Ooh, shell assembly. This is exciting. We're getting there now. Right, so that's that piece. We've got this nice piece here. There's that piece. That back piece. That piece. And that piece. And then there's one of these. That one. I think it's that one. Okay, it says we need 3 screws, we need the battery, and we need... I'm not sure what that piece is there for. Okay, so number 1 is we need to make sure that this cable here goes onto our chassis. Goes onto our chassis. Oops, again, super gluing my fingers together, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Right, so this needs to go underneath there. Why does it need to go underneath there? Does that really help matters? Everything's getting sticky. There we go. Right, that's going to come up. Really, on this really busy side, that's where they want it to come through. Okay. And then, which one is that going into then? I don't get there yet. I just want to see which one it goes into. It goes into with the red side. The brown side is to there. That's going to go like so. Nope. Like so. So that's now connected up there. It's thought easier for Wiz to head to that instruction before we do this next bit. Let's just jump back down. Okay, so then these tabs need to align with what? With that piece and that piece there, right? Okay. So there's like little tabs there. This really doesn't want to sit nicely. I feel like this should have been screwed into place or something. Okay, let's just carry on. Alright, so that can slot there, I see. Let's see what happens there. Okay. It's coming together. And be a screw. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so there's 2 screws there and there. Good. Get this, oh, for goodness sake, get this screw on the screwdriver first. Might be easier. Right. Nope. This is so fiddly. Okay. Okay, them two are done. So then there's a... I think this prevents it from like falling forwards or something. So there's like a little slot. So the microphone keeps tipping over. Okay, let's get this screwed into place. Well, there's two of these. Let's use the other one. This one doesn't look like the right one. Okay. Right, so we've done that piece. Okay, next is the kind of cab piece. So that needs to face that way. And these pieces just slot in there. Oh yeah, they're very satisfying. There's a bit of stringiness on these as well, but I can pull that off, that's fine. So that's that piece there. Another gluing piece. Ugh. So does that just loosely fit on there? That doesn't seem... Well, it's got a really unusual shape to it. Why? Does it go underneath or does it go on top? Does that go that way round? Let's look at this a bit closer. Ah, right. So of course these pieces have got little slots in them, so I put them in the wrong ones. That makes more sense. I wish I'd have drawn my attention to that before I put them in place. There we go. Right, that makes more sense now. So if I put that in there, and then in there, there we go. It does say glue those. I'm going to glue those in a moment when I'm sure that that's correct. Right, and then it says these simply push forward. Again, I'm still not sure about this this lighting thing. It feels like that should be more secure than it is. I don't know. Okay. Just going to pull that cable a bit more taut so that this isn't quite as pushed around. Okay, so right, and that will hold that piece in place as well, which is good. So okay, that's that. Okay. And then magnets, right. Magnets. Before I do magnets, I'm just going to make sure we can actually put the magnets in the hole. There's a tiny piece of like support material there. This needs to come out. And there's Bit of stringiness on that. So let's get that little bag of magnets wherever that's gone. These also need gluing in. So I'm just going to grab one of these at a time. These are the strongest little magnets I've ever come across. I think they're neodymium, is that the right word? Right, that fell off then, but I'm not sure where it went. More than likely it's stuck on another piece of metal somewhere. Okay, I think we've got enough spare. Yep, so that's going to get nice and flush. So I'm going to pull that out with that one there. There we go. Let's put a dab of man alive, these are so strong. It bounced twice and then vanished. So where did it go? There it is. And I'm going to get some paper. So I can push this in place without getting super glue all over my hands. Right, we need to do the same, but there's a live magnet there now that will do its best to try and jump out when I put the second one on. Doesn't matter which orientation these are in, because they're not going magnet to magnet, it's just going to these little screws. Right, let's do the last one. Just set quite quickly this super glue. So I'll leave that to one side for a minute. Let's see what else we need to do next. So more super glue. So we need to put this black piece inside here, so that we get that nice kind of grill effect on the back. This will be a nice easy one to do. Let's just chuck a bit of super glue. That. And then let's chuck that in there like so. I might just put a tiny dab on the top of there as well. Like so. I've already put the magnets in this one before the show, so there's a magnet there and a magnet there. And I think this just clips into place. It kind of go underneath that switch. Yeah, so I just need that to twist a little bit. And then that can just slot into place like so. And it's held on by the magnet, so you can pull that off, because that's where the battery goes in a minute, I think. So it's coming together. Look at that, it's looking good so far. Oh, there's another piece. Let's do that last piece. So that's going to come and go on there like so. So let's just stay in place. glue on that lip. I've not glued my hands to anything so far. I say fingers crossed, fingers glued. Let's put that on there. Blowing it, trying to activate it quicker. Okay. And yep, we've got the magnets in, we've done that piece, we've done that piece. Right, battery time. So here's our LiPo battery. What do we need to do with that? So that needs to go try and get that orientation the same. So they've got it like that. The battery's going in and that cable's coming out that way. The battery is going in like so. Okay. And I guess we need to connect it up. Do we not connect up the battery? Yep, it's told us to connect the battery up at that point. There we go. Right, let's do that. They only go one way around these because there's a connector kind of lug thing. That's real fiddly to do from this orientation though. Okay. And that should now should in theory cover that up and click into place. That's a bit of a fiddle that, but I can feel the magnets are holding that in place there. That's good. And then this piece also has magnets on there, the ones we glued before. Doesn't feel too tacky now. I don't want to put it in place and then it glue on and never come off. And that's really fiddly. Why does that keep coming off? Does that not need to go in place there, and that holds them in place there. Put my finger through that piece so it's come off. I'm going to leave that off for now because it's kind of getting in the way. And then this piece, oh goodness. This is fiddly. I feel like this should be screwed in place rather than So yeah, this last piece, I'm not sure how easily that's going to go in. Let's have a try. That's covering up all the electronics. And the magnet should pull it into place. But there's a wire underneath that's kind of pulling up a bit. There we go. There we go, and then immediately bumps back up. Right. Let's see if we can get this to look the part, and then we should be able to try and switch it on, because I think that's the last piece. Oh man alive. Every time I've just got it there, I put my thumb through that piece and push it out. This is what I like about that Smars robot. Screwless and glueless. There's no glue or screws holding things in place. Right, it's going to have to do like that for now. Let's switch this on and see what happens. We should get an indicator light flashing. We can't really see that underneath there. Yeah, I can see there's a green light underneath there. And if I switch this one on, now I don't think I've not programmed this and this to work yet. So even though I can make it move backwards and forwards, we've not actually loaded the code yet. That was a code for a different project. So what I'm going to do next, let's just see what it says on there about charging it, removing the back piece and the battery. Yeah, you do have to pull the battery out to charge it. And then the last piece there about the hardware connection diagram, that's kind of how it looks. Yeah, this PLA version, I don't know how on earth you could have PLA tracks. It just wouldn't work. That'd be a solid piece, so I don't understand that. Okay, so what I'm going to do next, I'm going to jump over to me for a second, jump back over to the overhead, and I'm going to load up the app, which is the Cyberbricks app. Cyberbrick. And on here, we can hopefully find the project we're looking for, which is the forklift truck. Is there a search button on here? Downloads. There we go. So forklift. So I've gone to the forklift, click get started. We've printed it out, we've downloaded the instructions. The next thing to do is connect. And it says there, select, is it the joystick or is it the forklift? So let's go that one. Choose a core, so I can click on that one. So I'm going to click the top one. You should see that that flashes a different colour once it's connected. So please observe the flashing colour. Yep, next. So that's now paired. It should turn blue, I think, when it's paired. Yep, confirm. And then the bottom one. Okay, confirm we want to get rid of that. It's going to upload the configuration to the device. It's done it. It's real quick because it's just like a YAML file, I believe. And then we can then choose the bottom one, which is this second, the receiver. So device is connecting. Now apparently some of these do have a bit of a bug in them, and you can't pair with them properly. But hopefully the new firmware, I did flash the firmware on these before the show, just to make sure everything was good to go. Right, so both of them are paired, all connected. Go and play, it says. So now if I, I press something and the lights are flashing. Let's try not to destroy the robot first. So we've got LED lights working there. Let's go backwards and forwards. We can do that. Can we turn the... We can turn left and right. Now can we make the thing go up and down? So how do we do that? I'm not sure which one it is to make. That's making the lights change. If I go to that camera view Oops, that camera view. Not that one. There. So if I press this button, nope, that button there, that's making the lights go on, blink, or off. I'm trying to figure out how on earth to get this to move around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a helping hand, I think. It seems absolutely rock solid, that. So I'm going to look at the instructions and see which way to make the it work. So throttle, right steer. Let's try the other one. Let's try in case there's a different receiver. So send configuration. There's two options. I just went with the bottom one. Let's try this top one. Confirm. While that's loading, I'm just going to pull that piece off the floor. I decided to do that. Okay, let's put that piece back on that fell off before. I'm not sure why it's doing that. It shouldn't do that. Yep, not sure why that's not working there, and I'm not sure why it keeps spinning round either. That's very weird. I think I prefer the other program. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this off for a second. Not that that makes a difference. Let's just try the other program again. So let's go back. Right steer. That seemed to be the best one. So there was two options then. Let's go back to that. Two options. There was joystick only or joystick rear steer. I think that says, or right steer. So do that one. Select. Do I need that to be back on? Receiver. Confirm, yes. Before it destroys itself. Confirm. Confirm. So yeah, I'm not totally impressed with the build quality of this particular part of it, where these lights are held in place. They don't seem to be sort of rock solid. Maybe I did something wrong in there. Right, so has that now... Yep, so we've got the steering correct on there. So why can't we make... I'm going to check that I've got that plugged into the correct thing on the instructions. So let's go back to... Go back to the instructions for a second. Let's see that bit where we plugged in the servo. Just need to make sure that's in the right one. Alright, so they've got it on the back one. Let's move that to the back one. Right, so it is trying to move it, but it's very, very tight. So I'm going to give this a helping hand, I think. It's so unbelievably tight. It does seem to be stuck. Yeah, I think that right string isn't correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to undo that one, because I think it's actually working. That's just like a piano string tight. Maybe it's caught on something. Okay, let's try that again now. Now that I've destroyed the chassis piece, let me just put that back. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Right, let me go to that camera there. Now I think that is actually supposed to rise up to the top whilst it goes up, and then the same when it goes down. And I think it's to do with these wires just not working the way they should. So it should kind of proportionally go up and down. Yeah, but that isn't working. So that's something I need to work on. It was just so very tight at the very bottom, and that needs a little bit of grease on it, I suspect, to get that to work, because that is supposed to be sort of fastened into there, and as this moves up and down, it is supposed to interact with that a little bit more. But I mean, it is working. So you can actually download some props for this as well. I'm going to put that back piece. That's completely vanished now. And the props are kind of like things you can pick up and move around. There we go. It kind of looks correct now. There we go. Tons of fun. So the last thing we'll do, we will plug this in and have a look at some MicroPython code. I'm aware that this show has gone on a little bit in time, but I thought just to wrap up, let's have a see what's actually going on. I'm going to plug this in, and I'm going to plug this into to Thonny, and we'll have a quick poke around and see what's going on inside. So if I get Thonny loaded up, and let's get over to here. And if I just press stop on there, and I've got it selected down here, it's connected to this USB JTAG serial connection, and if we press stop again, let's see if I can get that to show what files it's got on there. Do I need to switch off the power? There we go. Let's try that again now. So it did connect before. What we can do, we connect another module just to show you what's going on there. Maybe the remote's not the right one to use. So what I've got going on here, let's go to that overhead for a sec. Just getting out another one of the controllers. This one is, so it's got all the inputs on it. I think this is like this one, the transmitter. If I plug that in there, and then I give this connect allow. Got the green light on there. And if we press stop, maybe I've got the wrong type going on there. Let's just try generic. It's interesting, secure boot key. I've not seen that before. Let's try that again. I did actually get this to connect before, so I'm not sure why it's not behaving now. Maybe I need to do reset and boot on there. If not, we'll come back to that on another show and have a look around. Essentially, there is just it's standard MicroPython, but there is a Bambu Labs library on there that allows you to do some extra things with the inputs and outputs. There isn't very many GPIO pins on there if you look at the actual chip. So they've managed to get quite a lot of connectivity through those simple pins that they've got on there. Cool. That's all I wanted to show you on today's show. So let's get back over to the slides on there. If my machine can keep up. And yes, so if you're not joined our Discord community, definitely give that a check out, kevsrobots.com/discord. If you want to follow me on social medias, I'm on all the social platforms. So I'm on Threads at Kevin McAleer at threads.net, on TikTok at Kevin McAleer 6, on Instagram at Kevin McAleer, on X at KevsMac, on Mastodon at KevsMac at mastodon.social, and also on Blue Sky at KevsMac at bsky.social. So definitely check me out on those, give me a follow, share a project you're working on as well. If you want to follow me on YouTube or buy me a coffee, you can do that again by going to kevsrobots.com/coffee. There's a way of helping the show stay valid, stay funded. I'm not currently in work at the moment, so this is my only source of income. So any coffees or anything you can buy, any memberships, really does help out with projects, particularly like this one. And I want to give a shout out to the people who have done exactly that. So on the left hand side here we can see Michael bought me a coffee last week, Simon bought me one last week as well, Peter H got me 3 coffees, Martin bought me 2, Rory from Jersey IT bought me 3 coffees, we have Cubeless Corny bought me 3, Marie Louise Mayer bought me 3. Thank you so much for that. And we've got our members Pietro, Michael, Warren, Anonymous, Silicon Fiber, Marie, TKD, Jeff, Dean Corty, Marlene and Tom as supporters on the Buy Me a Coffee side. And over on YouTube we've got Brian, we've got Grandpa Gray, Shishriva, Marie, Pete, Dale from Hybrid Robotics, Oxrad39, Warren, Pierre Eves, Bert, Michael, Steve, Ford, Bello, Stephen, John Paul, Cassie, Johnny, and of course we have Tom. Thank you so much for supporting the show. It means so much to me that you continue to do that. I really, really do appreciate it. And if we go back to the slides there, the spinny logo tells me it's this point in the video that YouTube will recommend over here another video from the almost 450 videos that we now have on the YouTube channel. So definitely check one of those out, and I shall see you next time. Bye for now. And it's at this point in the video I'll press the stream marker button and we'll have a very quick look and see who's left standing on today's show and see who we have been talking about. So let's have a look. So Pete says, good luck with tonight's build. I'm comforted by the fact that your build area is as messy as mine. Honestly, you've not seen a half of it. What's behind me is just like chaos. I'm checking out the Cyberbricks. Awesome. Good, good. So I did get some problems downloading Discord onto my computer. If you check your junk mail, I think it takes about 3 minutes for the email to come through from Discord. They're not too quickly on that one, so I'm not sure why that is. It was easy to get back to ordering things like it was too easy back then to order things like that. Actually, my eldest. All right, that's the other conversation that's going on that I'm just not talking about. There we go. Let's see what else we've got. It's always good to look ahead in the instructions so you know what's coming. That's a very good point there, Dale. I thought I'd do it live on the show and we could see together what it's like. But we have a little robot we didn't have before, and I'm quite impressed with the outcome. It is a bit fiddly, and there's definitely some things I would change on it myself. I'm not too impressed by this last piece with the with that bit, but it does connect up pretty quickly once you switch everything back on. So if I turn that back on, I can then control it once again with the remote control. So yeah, it was about a day to print out the remote control and about a day to print out this this one as well. So we have got a nice little on-off switch on the back there. That's a bit fiddly, but it is actually serviceable at least. On this one, it's nice and simple. You just click that there. This one does have a battery connector there, and that's just your usual kind of three AAA batteries go in there. I think there is a version for the LiPo battery as well, and there's the little chip in there so you can get at it and plug in your cable and whatnot. So all these pieces are 3D printed as well. Cool. You have endless amounts of patience. I like to get things done, that's the thing. This stream must be as long as a James Bond movie. So the PLA variant is probably print in place, a little more clattery. But the thing is, it would print it like an oblong shape, so it wouldn't move. It wouldn't. I don't understand how that would work. Have I got a Smiles robot to hand? I don't think I have. You would have to have each of the pieces individually movable. Yeah, there is definitely a Discord server. I'm on it as we speak. So if you go to kevrobots.com/discord, you should be able to get a link for that. It takes you to action.smarsfan.com or something like that. I can't see how it's supposed to move with 90% slippage. Don't know. So yeah, that was one of the things that did work quite well. I wasn't sure about the quality of the TPU on there. If you look at it closely, it looks a bit janky. It's like blobs and stuff. You can see there's like lots of pieces just there. But it does work. It is serviceable, and it does actually make the robot go backwards and forwards, which is awesome. Good, good. Pretty much like Lego. Is it, as I said at the beginning of the show, Mindstorm killer? I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's got to the quality of that yet. Not even close. Far too fiddly for me. Yep, definitely need some lubricant on that piece there. Print some pallets and then put some item on it. Absolutely. So I'm going to print out some of those next week. I've got enough parts in that in this kit to do 2 remote controls and 2 like car things, 2 remote control vehicles. Can it be programmed to autonomously drive? Yes. There aren't any sensors yet, like distance sensors, rangefinder sensors, so I'm not sure what it would do yet. There are trains. I can see you can print out trains. It needs some sensors. Exactly, that's right, Dale. I had some trouble like that on Thonny too, where stop doesn't really stop, just auto boots the code over and over. It did work before, so I'm not sure what's going on there that's different. But I do like the fact you can use an app, so people who haven't got MicroPython programming skills yet, they can get it working. So Discord instructions, has Alex done that? I think she might have done. So I think you just click on the link, it'll ask you to mail it. So let's do that live now. Let's go to Let's go to kesrobots.com/discord. If I go over here, kesrobots.com/discord. Why is that not gone to /discord? There we go. So it should take you to action.smarsfan.com/join-discord. You pop in your email address, your first name, click on the join Discord, and then it should send you an email from Discord themselves to your email account. Check the junk mail, make sure it's not sent that to the junk, and you should be golden, I think, on there. So Core Point says the parts that are placed on the print bed as they would be assembled with just enough air gap to be able to move. A bit finicky, but possible. So I did go onto Prusa Slicer. Let's go back over there a sec. And if you try printing these without support materials, if I slice that, there are some of them it says, you know, there's going to be problems with that. Might not be that particular. Well, yeah, you can see there. How would that work? So there's a piece there that's got it's just floating in midair. So I would have to rotate that round potentially. I don't know if that would work. I don't know why that hasn't printed in that orientation anyway. But then again, there's other pieces here where it definitely would need support material. So yeah, it says print stability issues, so you definitely need to have some kind of support material. As soon as you start putting support material on there, I've got the organic ones, there needs to be a distance between the parts so these don't touch, because if they do touch, it then complains about that as well. But yeah, let me know how you get on with it. You can download the parts for free and you can play. So I went there, but nothing shows up in my email. Have you definitely checked your junk email? It does send them through, and it's Discord themselves who send it. It's not something. It's not any kind of automation I've got in place there. It will send them through. I'm not sure what to suggest there. Don't know if there's a way that I don't know if there's somebody else that can help Bobby with that. I'm not an expert on Discord. Get it open on that machine. Discord. I don't know if there's a way of like sharing a link or inviting you or something like that. I don't even think you can send private messages on YouTube, can you? So I'm not sure. So until you get on Discord, it's difficult for you to get in touch to resolve this one, is what I'm thinking. But you can probably email me. I think you probably see my email address looking around. If you go onto kesrobots.com and then let me jump back on there. I think there is like a button you can contact me on here. You can sign up for an account on here and then message me on there. Basically just drop a comment on this Cyberbricks one. So if you come down here and if you drop a comment to the bottom of here once you've signed up, just saying please help, I'll see your email address in the account, because I have a special page where I can see, you know, who the person's email account is behind there, and we can take it from there. That's probably the best way to go forward. So go to kesrobots.com, go up to the top of here and then sign up. It'll ask you to put in your email address and a name, and then we can get you up and running from there. Cool. I think I need a bit of a drink. So CodePoint's saying the oval will be laying on its side, and the shape, the individual chain links right. Oh, I see. Possibly. I'm not. It's such a small piece. I don't really know how that would work. If you look how small these tracks are, like the hole in the wheels where the track pieces go into, I don't really know how you'd make something so small that it could print in place. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll see. I'll print it out and have a look. That's probably the best way to do that. Cool. I'm aware that we've gone way over time on this show today, so I'm going to wrap it up here and say thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.